So there is one carbon plated shoe that I have been itching to get my hands on, and that, guys, is the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2. We are back at the trackHouse and we are reviewing some more carbon plated super shoes. Let me throw some stats at you before we do anything else. 230 grams, 1.5 mil drop, 230 grams, 1.5 mil drop, 38 mil in the rear, 36.2 in the front. I think that's correct. 38 mil in the rear, 36.5 in the front. 1.5 mil drop, heel to toe, 230 grams. This actually is not a carbon plate, it's a carbon woven plate. So I think it's like a carbon composite. Probably makes the shoe a little bit less expensive. So it comes in about £209, which in the super shoe range, I guess is value for money. Is that what you'd call it? Still 200 odd quid for a shoe. But the reason I really want to try this particular shoe is just look at the shape of it. So it really accentuates the kind of curved motion of the front of the foot as well as the curved motion on the heel of the foot. Why has that become important? Because it's just going to help you with that heel kind of roll through. So if you are a bit of a heel striker, or even if you think you're not, when you get tired, you will land more midfoot, and then that more midfoot sometimes can be more rear foot. And that roll through, I can't wait to get these on the treadmill to give them a little bit of a run. And as you can see, the sole of the shoe, can you hear that? That's the carbon woven plate. Nice big 38 mil midsole down to 36.5, 1.5 mil drop. The usual fast, lightweight upper. So we're going to see how that responds, see whether it stays on the foot. I'm just curious about the balance of this one. I haven't done too much running on this one in this shoe just yet, but I'm looking forward to jumping on the treadmill and giving it a little bit of a run out and testing it for the first time. But look, it looks awesome though, huh? I have to say it's really good to see Mizuno stepping into the super shoe world, the super shoe arena. And this is the one shoe, I don't know why, I couldn't tell you. I think it's just the way that it looks. I've just really wanted to try this shoe out. So we're gonna get it on the treadmill and give it a run. Let's get stuck into the Wave Rebellion Pro 2. I really need to give this sign a clean, if anything. God, I love the trackHouse. I love the trackHouse. So before I even take this for a little walk on the treadmill, I'm gonna say that the upper, which is all the mesh stuff on the top of the shoe, that the laces and all that stuff, feels very light. So you'd have to kind of, if you are really worried about it, you're cranking your laces tight or tying them quite hard. It's a very light upper. As I said, this was 230 grams worth of shoe. Let's take it for an easy walk. For some reason, the Mizuno super shoe is the one that I really wanted to try, probably because of the way that it looks. And even just putting it on, you immediately notice that there's no heel on it. So it's just designed as a little U to encourage you to roll through your foot strike, which makes perfect sense. And it's basically taking in the physics of just allowing your foot to land and roll. In some ways, you probably want to think about it in terms of when someone lands on a ski jump, or Red Bull do a crazy stunt and have a car land jumping over something. You don't just land on the flat, they encourage you to land on a slope. And that's the same thing with our heel strike, or certainly the same principle when it comes to the heel and the way it's been built for the Wave Rebellion 2, Pro 2. But when you're walking in it, it does feel a little bit strange. And you can already sense that you're just rolling through your footstep. What it does do though, is makes you feel like there is more shoe under the middle of your foot rather than at the back. So it doesn't feel like your heel when you're walking, has anything there to kind of really land and support on. And you've got to remember that your ankle is above your heel. So we'll see how that feels once we get moving. So we're going to head into a slow jog and see whether that changes. Bear in mind there's only 1.5 mil of drop on this shoe. But the thing that I like about it already is that it does feel steady. So I guess the midsole and what they've made the midsole out of actually feels like it supports your foot even at a slow speed. So with a shoe that has these nice big midsoles, these 38 mil midsoles, you can feel like you are rolling a little bit. I don't get that sensation with the Wave Rebellion Pro 2. It does feel quite firm and quite secure. I think the firmness is the interesting point, because obviously with a carbon shoe, you are trying to combine reducing impact from your foot landing and increasing energy return with your foot taking off. That energy return comes from the carbon plate, or in this case, the carbon composite plate, because I don't believe the Pro 2 is a fully carbon plate. But that doesn't change the fact that it does, at a low speed anyway, feel very firm as a shoe. And bear in mind, I am landing on my midfoot at the moment, and it doesn't feel like it's rocking or rolling from side to side. I can pronate quite happily. Again, I'd probably only just tighten my laces a little bit more, but guys, I'll be honest with you, these are kind of fresh out the box other than shooting a few photos earlier. So nothing to complain about so far. Let's take it up a little bit and see how they handle. So we're not going too fast at the moment. This is kind of just under a 10-minute mile, like a 9.5 minute mile. What's that, 5:30 a K, 5:45 a K on a treadmill. And they do feel, like I said, they feel like once you get it into the midfoot, and this is midfoot, can you hear? Hopefully you might be able to hear the midfoot, and then I'm gonna go to a heel strike. It feels fine, it feels secure, feels like you can pronate a little bit. The soft foam doesn't roll you too far over. You usually land on the outside of your foot, and then you roll inwards, and then you extend off the big toe. That's basically, fundamentally, you know, the running mechanics that most of us go through in various forms. So I'm gonna start heel striking. I'm gonna see whether I can hear anything different. Oh, that's super interesting. So dropping to a heel strike, I don't get that same loud bang that I would with a normal shoe, because it is so curved at the heel. And when you are running, there's tons of cues to look for, but one of them is what you hear. And the fact that the sound that I'm getting from the treadmill reduces when I actually go into a heel strike over a forefoot strike does suggest that there's less energy being wasted rolling through the heel. You're not getting that sharp impact, which I think is really interesting and a really good testament to the way that this shoe is designed, never mind what it's actually made out of. But the interesting thing is, like I said, not having much support under the heel, it does change the pressure. So would I want to do this heel strike for 42 kilometers? And what would that do to my foot? Because there's no heel, ultimately what I'm asking myself is, am I landing further back towards my foot? Because normally with a heel on a shoe, you'd land at a certain point. Moving that heel away effectively means your foot extends maybe a little bit further. We're talking millimeters. So you might be landing on a further back part of your heel. But it does roll you incredibly well from the heel to the midfoot to the forefoot. Go back to a midfoot strike and we're going to increase the speed. Oof, feels good. Sorry, because it gets a little bit more noisy when we up the speed and I can't talk as much. So this is forefoot striking and I'm going to swap to a heel strike, and it's amazing how much it quietens down. Forefoot, heel. That is remarkable. Ordinarily, it's not always like that. Okay, let's slow this down. So the standout features for this particular shoe, for me, is it feels nice and wide. You can fit your foot in it. The upper, you know, the mesh and everything that's built on top of the shoe that goes over the top, that doesn't feel like it kind of locks your foot in. You might have to spend a bit of time orchestrating your laces. You do get a nice firm feel with this shoe, and it doesn't feel like on contact that you're forced to pronate, as in it doesn't feel like it's too soft that your foot lands and there's kind of nothing there to support you when you are pronating, so that you over pronate and push off. You do get a sense that it's slightly firmer, which I think is a good thing in the super shoe world, because ankle stability is incredibly important, and it's even more important when you get to the point of fatigue. You don't really want to go to the point of fatigue where you are struggling to maintain form and have something that's not going to support you. I think that the forefoot on the Pro 2 does feel like it's firm, like across the middle of the foot, and you can roll through it. So I do like that about it. The one thing I am finding is the upper, you know, it feels like there's a lot of room in the shoe. And I'm wearing a size 10. Maybe if I sized half a size down, then, and I would ordinarily, just to be clear, run in a size 10. So maybe I would probably want to size down in this shoe, but then it becomes a very race specific shoe because it would sit a lot tighter on the end of my toe. So there is half an argument that the upper not feeling so secure might simply be because I could just probably fit my foot into a half a size down and then see how that felt, but not necessarily something I can do when these shoes cost £210 per pair. The Wave Rebellion Pro 2 is actually the one shoe that I've been itching to get my hands on, and I've said that multiple times, but I do mean it. And the reason is just because of that design and the way that it thrusts you onto the forefoot. I really want to go racing in this shoe. As to whether my time will improve, we'll only see, but whether it's down to the technology in the shoe is probably another conversation. As far as whether I actually think it's a good shoe in terms of how it feels, the things that I do like about it is just you feel like your foot is secure when you get moving. So much like, I think I had this conversation with someone the other day, you know, the Blackbird, once it gets up to speed, everything tightens up, it feels fast, and when it's on the ground, it pretty much leaks fuel because it's so horribly kind of misplaced. It's this similar feel, especially with the Wave Rebellion Pro 2, which is once you get it up to speed, you take advantage of the firmness, you take advantage of the carbon composite plate. But the thing that I kind of would change is half a size down to see whether that knit holds my foot in the shoe better. I will leave the styling conversation up to you guys as to whether you think this is a good looking shoe. I do like the design of it. Even just like this, you can see how thin this upper is, which obviously adds or helps reduce the weight of the shoe, ultimately its performance. And you get that carbon composite plate that you can see run down the whole middle of the shoe, which is very cool. From a looks perspective, I think this looks great. You know, a white shoe, I will point out, I have already made my other one really dirty, and this is the only one that I can use. I haven't even run in them properly yet. As far as a white design shoe, that's pretty bold, but it looks great, and it probably looks great out the box. A few weeks of running in it, you probably won't look so good. So whether you can get to race day with a pair that look like this is probably another question. That does look like, to me, like a good looking shoe, and the upper is designed to kind of give that kind of sleek, fast appeal to it. But ultimately, it's just the way that this shoe is shaped that I think makes it so cool, and the way that you can kind of see that the heel will roll all the way through, right through off the toe. We're going to leave it at that, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was useful to you. Give me a bit of sensation of what the Mizuno Super Shoe feels like. Please do like and subscribe, and I will see you on another one soon.